At 15, I built my dream body. I ran 10K in under 40 minutes. I have meditated over 220 days in a row. I've started to make money online, and I've changed my life forever in almost all areas of my life. And you might ask me, why do I tell you this? The reason that I'm telling you this is simple, because I want you to do the same thing if you feel like it's necessary. If you feel like you want to change your life, you probably clicked on this video because I will lay out my exact blueprint on how you can do this. And if you want my personal guidance on this, you can book a free call with the link in the description. I'll personally help you out completely for free. So what you have to understand is that I made countless mistakes because I've been on this journey for quite some time, but you have to understand what I'm going to lay out in this video. The first point that I want to discuss is that you have to craft a clear vision for yourself. You have to have a vision and a goal of where you want to end up in life, because once you have a certain goal of what you want to achieve, then it becomes possible. So you have to be very, very specific with this goal. For example, you can't really say, I want to be fit or I want to build my dream body. You have to have an exact goal of what that can be. And an even better goal could be that, okay, so I want to build my dream body. Here's what it looks like. And also what you can do then is that you set an input-based goal. So basically you say, okay, I'm going to work out 3 times a week towards achieving this body. And it doesn't need to be just specifically a body. It can be whatever you want, whatever result you want. And the results that I've brought up for my own self is just not to brag or anything, but just to tell you the truth is that once you have a specific goal and you craft a vision and you ask yourself, why do I want to accomplish this goal? You will make so much more progress towards it because you know why you're doing it in the first place. What you have to understand, once you've crafted your vision for yourself, you have to break it down with small steps. Because I remember when my parents got divorced in 2021, what happened was that I realized that things will be out of control in my own life, but what I can control is my mindset, my discipline, my habits, and what I put into my own life. Because if I have a sustaining meaning, for example, I have a sport that I'm doing, an instrument that I'm playing, just something that I really, really enjoy doing on a regular basis, what will happen then is that I will actually have something to look forward to. And once I'm in harder periods of my life, for example, when I broke up with my best friend or when my parents were divorcing or whatever, if I would have had a sustaining meaning at those times, which I didn't clearly have, what would have been so much easier for me would have been to have a sustaining meaning, because once you have that vision for yourself, you can break it down to the next thing, and that is small steps. So once you've created your why and the reason for why you're doing something, you break it down to small actionable steps. So for example, if you want to get a certain grade or get into a college or university or a job, what you have to do is you have to break it down into small steps. It all starts with the small actions that you're doing today, because if you don't start small, you won't really do it. Because one thing that I tried for myself in like 2021 and 2022, I tried to make a dropshipping business. I tried to like get all of the like harder things to do, like start a YouTube channel, those types of things, before I had mastered the fundamentals. And right now what I'm trying to focus on is the fundamentals. I try to focus on the small habits, like making my bed, meditating every single day, working out, and trying to improve my mindset in certain areas. Because once I've mastered the basics and I keep on doing them, I will get that compound effect, and what will also happen is that I can apply the knowledge that I've gotten from those habits into the next idea that I'm going to do. So basically you have to craft a vision and you have to set out small steps. So you can write that down as an actionable step. What small steps can I do today towards getting closer to the end goal of mine? After you've written down the small steps that you're going to take towards that goal, what you have to do is you have to change your belief system and you have to change your identity. And what does this practically mean? Because many people speak about self-identity, and I was very, very clueless because I didn't really know what they were talking about. What is even self-identity? So your identity is simply how you perceive yourself. What is the perception you have of yourself? How do you view yourself? So for example, when you set a goal, what do you think to yourself, and what is the thoughts that pop up? For example, is it thoughts of, yeah, I can do this, of abundance, or is it like of constraint, or I don't really know if I can do this? You have to figure that out. And how you change your self-identity towards the person that you want to become is simply you start to manually implement thoughts of the version of you that you want to become. So for example, if I wanted to become a professional, let's say sports let's say I want to become a professional boxer, for example. What I would do then is that I will imagine myself as a professional boxer. I would say to myself, I am a professional boxer. It feels so good to be a professional boxer. And you visualize the results that you're getting, you visualize the things that you actually want to accomplish, and once you do that, you can make even more progress. And that's what I'm trying to currently do with like YouTube, with football, with these types of things, is that I want to influence people in a positive way. So for example, one thing that I can do before I record a video is simply that I try to visualize myself helping people or getting a positive comment. Of course, the results won't always work like this, but if you just try to keep that in mind and try to implement the thoughts of the person that you want to become, then that is one of the most important things towards crafting a new version of yourself. And once you've created your new identity, you can move on, but it takes time. Remember that. Another step towards cultivating this new identity of yourself is to create a sustaining schedule and habits. What I'm saying here is that you have to create new habits. You can't really rely on motivation. Even if motivation is good, it isn't a bad thing. It's very, very great to feel motivated, but you have to figure out how you can do things even when you don't feel like it. For example, in June this year, I lost all of the motivation for my YouTube channel, and I lost all of that like kind of drive and hope that I had for that channel, and I was basically quitting, and I decided to take a pretty long break from YouTube. What had happened then was that I had lost motivation, and it wasn't necessarily I lacked discipline, but I felt like I forced myself to record YouTube videos, not because of the impact that I had on other people, not that I could help anyone else, but just because I felt like I had to record videos just for the sake of recording videos, if that makes any sense. So what you have to do is you have to have your sustaining meaning. For example, you have to define why you're doing this in the first place. And once you've defined that, you can move on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And you have to find the non-negotiable habits that you have to do. So for example, a very, very great habit can be meditation. Meditation is a habit where you practice mindfulness and you practice breathing, focusing on your breathing or a certain point of your breath. So for example, what you can do is that you close your eyes, you sit down and you take a deep breath, you take a deep inhale, like, and you try to focus on the breath every single time. And what will happen is that, first of all, you will focus on the breath, you will feel the sensations of breathing. Then you will realize that your mind will drift away, focus on something else. You will generate a thought, an idea, a memory, a feeling, whatever it is. Your mind will drift away, and then what will happen is that you will indulge in that like thought or memory. It doesn't really matter. This is part of the process, by the way. And then you move on to the next step, which is that you realize that you've been distracted. You realize that you haven't been really focused. And then after that, the next step is that you move yourself back to the breath. So you remind yourself, oh, I'm actually meditating, and you don't put any emotion towards it, you just do it. And this is a really, really great exercise if you want to build self-confidence, if like anything you want to do in life. If you just practice meditation, what will happen is that once you are in an environment, for example, you feel a bit nervous, you can just start to focus on your breathing pattern. And like when you are overthinking, for example, you can find a way to control that and stop that, just because you can remind yourself of one thing that you're doing. Another habit that I had for myself is that I try to be more grateful for things. One exercise that I do pretty regularly, I'm not perfect in it, and I try to improve upon it. As soon as I wake up and I feel very, very tired or sleep deprived, like before school or something like that, I try to just remind myself that I'm not in a war-torn country. I'm not in a country where it's really, really bad. I have my family alive. I try to just remind myself of the basics, and I try to be genuinely grateful for that. I try to sit and think to myself, what is there to actually genuinely be grateful for? And then I realize, oh, I have food on the table, my family is alive, I live in a country which is like peaceful, we aren't in war currently. You try to just remind yourself of the basics, and once you do that, you can actually feel a bit more comfort in that, and then you can also apply yourself to the things that you're supposed to do, just because you have that fundamental set up for you. the last two things that you can do is that you have to track your progress in some way. A great way to do this is a habit tracker. So what you do is that you write on a piece of paper, like for example, you write habit tracker, and then you write on the side of the paper, you write the dates of the month, and then you write a habit, for example, meditation. And then if you do it, you check the box. If you miss it, you don't check the box. And start small with like 2 or 3 habits that you're not doing for a super high amount. Like for example, you're doing 3 minutes of meditation, 2 things that you are grateful for. Maybe go for a 10-minute walk, reading 2 pages, just something. And once you start with that, you can actually sort of track your progress. Oh, you see, oh, I meditated 10 times this month. I wrote down 100 things that I was grateful for. And you try to keep up with your progress and you try to track it. And once you do that, you will make even more progress just because you know how much volume you're putting in every single month. And that's actually a pretty great way to track your progress. Another small tip that I can give on that is that if you have a friend or someone who are on the same path, it can be a bit tricky. But if you have that, you can actually have an accountability partner. Or if you want to find an accountability partner, you can actually comment something in the video, like comments or whatever, like if you want to find one. So, and you can also go on like online communities and search for it there. So either find an accountability partner, go with the habit tracker, or best case scenario, you can go with both. So the last thing that I want to teach you is that you have to remove distractions. Do not allow distractions to be part of your daily routine. For me, for a very, very long time, I used to get home from school and I was just scrolling. This was from around like, I would say like August or September towards like October. I was genuinely just scrolling. I was getting home, I was laying in my bed and I was scrolling and I was just watching YouTube videos pretending to be productive, but I wasn't really that productive. And I'm not saying here that I'm perfect or anything, because I have still a lot to improve upon, and sometimes I catch myself scrolling, and that's the truth. Like when you are trying to improve yourself, sometimes you mess up, you aren't doing the things that you are supposed to do, but you know what? You have to have the humility to admit that. But none of the people who are recording YouTube videos or something like that, they aren't perfect. Nobody is. So what happens when I slack up and I really, really do spend a lot of time like scrolling and the stuff that I shouldn't be doing, what I do then is that I try to go back to the fundamental, go back to the basics. And the reason that you have to remove distractions is that once you make like your life a bit more boring, then the tasks that you want to do, for example, you want to get into sport, you want to get into a business, you want to learn how to do a skill or whatever you're trying to pursue right now, you can actually dedicate more time towards that, and your mind will just generate more thoughts and more ideas of that. And that's just basically what I've done with YouTube, with previous YouTube channels. Like I had a history YouTube channel previously, which I put in a lot of work and effort into. And just in general, once you remove the distractions, like for example, for me, video games was a huge constraint, and just try to figure it out. Just write down what could be constraint of mine and what is sapping up my time right now. And then you write, okay, so this is taking up 2-3 hours a day. And then you think to yourself, okay, so this is taking up 2-3 hours a day. And then you can actually think to yourself, is it worth it? Yes or no? If it isn't, try to quit it, and it will be hard. And that's just what I have to tell you. Start small with small steps to improve yourself every single day. And the last thing that I want to say to you is that you don't need motivation, you don't need talent, you just need a plan. You have to have a plan and then take action every single day. So now the choice is yours. Do you want to take action, or do you want to be stagnant and look at yourself a year from now and be in the same place as you are currently? And if you want to book a free call and have my like personal accountability, I can help you out completely for free. You can do that with the link in the description, and I'll personally help you out. And I really, really do hope that you got some value out of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.